right, well, today we are joined. This is a pleasant surprise. Somebody
Yes.
we didn't think that we would be sitting down speaking to.
Not at all.
We have the Secretary of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Rory and Maul Show. We have a lot of questions being New Yorkers with transportation. Like, we grew up on the subway system.
We know we don't have you for that long, so I want to get to the important issues first.
Yeah.
Can you handle some of these for me? Hold on. This one's final notice. Open immediately.
That
You
one
should
is-
start
that's the important one.
start with that one. These, I think, are overdue.
Yeah.
If just you need my zip code or license plate number, but if you could just handle these for me, this would be great.
How much I can do about
Killing
that?
us for these.
Yeah.
Just think of all the good infrastructure you might be financing with this.
That's the way to think about it.
What happened in Baltimore, man? What's up with these tree huggers? We're trying to get more SUVs on the road. We saw that there were some protesters that charged the stage a few weeks ago.
Look, they're passionate about climate. I'm passionate about climate. Some disagreements about how to get from here to there. But the bottom line to me is we need to move quickly to make transportation more climate friendly. Out of our entire economy, the part that puts the most into greenhouse gases, the sector that contributes the most carbon pollution is transportation. So to me, that just means we have to make sure that transportation is the biggest part of the solution, or at least try to be. Making sure more people have a chance to have easy access to transit and a reliable subway is part of how you do that. Making it cheaper to have an EV is part of how you do that. There's a bunch of steps that we are taking. But the thing is, you can't flip a switch. It's not just going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
We need an aggressive approach, but we also need a path. We can't just wake up one day and we're overnight done with fossil fuels. So what we're putting together is a smart plan that goes after the things that are easier to do now, like EVs are a technology that exists. We just got to make it more affordable. And then some things that are much harder to do. Aviation is harder to decarbonize because we don't know how to propel an airliner without using fossil fuels. But even there, we figured out ways to use more sustainable fuels that have a lower life cycle cost, ultimately life cycle carbon pollution. Means there's less, even on existing engines, existing technology, but with better fuel, there's less carbon pollution. All those things have to happen at the same time. Some people are frustrated we can't do it overnight. I get that. But what we've done in the Inflation Reduction Act, that's the biggest climate action that any country has undertaken ever.
And do you think big business with fossil fuels and oil is stopping that from happening in a quicker timeline?
Well, look, I can definitely tell you, for example, when I'm testifying in Congress and I'm getting questions about whether, last time I was up there testifying on the Hill, I got questioned about the seasons changing as if that was the climate changing. So I'm talking to actual climate deniers.
Yeah.
I do think that part of what's going on is that there are some folks on the Hill who are interested in keeping oil and gas profits going the way they are for as long as possible.
Of course, yeah.
But I also would say economically, there's a lot of money to be made and a lot of jobs to be created on the green side. I'll give you an example. Where I come from, South Bend, Indiana, we used to make cars. We were the company, before anybody heard about Notre Dame, we were the company town for Studebaker. Okay. And our whole economy revolved around Studebaker back when that was just as big as any of the big three are today. It shut down in 1963. And right now, the biggest investment to come to St. Joe County, Indiana since 1963 is for a facility that's going to be making batteries for electric vehicles that GM's working on. So there's an upside. There's winners and losers in every big economic or technological change, but there's a huge upside, including for industrial Midwestern workers in places like where I grew up.
But does the let's just say electric car, does that have the ability to be monopolized or even treated the way oil has been? Can they corner the market with, say, a Tesla that is the main supplier of everything that's within electricity that could replace these fossil fuels? Well, do we get back in the same situation, but now it's electricity?
Well, not in terms of the fuel, right? Because there's so many different ways to get electricity, right? You've got nuclear, you got renewables, solar, wind. Yes, fossil fuels is part of it, but it's only part of it. And you've got thousands of utilities. So it's not the same as depending on one fuel source. On the other hand, there is an issue in terms of the making of the cars themselves, right? And that's where I think we've got to make sure America gets an edge. Part of what President Biden's trying to do, part of what we're trying to do, is make sure America wins when it comes to making EVs. The Trump administration, in my opinion, let China get an advantage on making these things. And to be clear, this is where the future of cars is going either way, because they break down less. They're cheaper to fuel. Over time, they're going to be cheaper to make. It's definitely the future. What's not yet obvious is it going to be made in America, like the last 100 years worth of so many cars were, or are most of them going to be made in China? And that is something I'm worried about. And it's part of the reason we're pushing so hard on making sure the U.S. has the edge.
So you don't mind the nickname Petro Pete? Is that what they were shouting?
Yeah,
at you on stage?
If I got hung up on
it was creative. You have to give them that at least.
Yeah, it was sure. That's not what I would go with.
You don't have to be nice to them. You can shoot back at them.
But no, look, we want the same things. I mean, we want cleaner air. We want to beat climate change. I could use their help when we're facing down the actual climate deniers who are in control of the party controlling the United States House of Representatives. Yeah. So you can say we should push even harder or do even more of this, but just to be clear, none of what we're doing is secure.
Right.
None of the things that we've set out to do over the last 2.5, 3 years of the Biden administration on climate are guaranteed to happen if we aren't able to maintain support for that. I wish some of these folks who are impatient, and I get it, but I wish they would be at our side when we're facing down the people who are trying to not just slow us down, but stop us and move backward.
As somebody that's from the Bronx, growing up, I saw firsthand what the development of the Cross Bronx did to my neighborhood. Well, it was after, but it was still some of the effects. And moving forward with infrastructure projects, how do you plan to design or work with not displacing the Black and Latino families the way that the Cross Bronx Expressway impacted the Bronx?
This is hugely important. The way that highways were built, Cross Bronx is an example, but they're all around the country. The Rondo neighborhood in St. Paul, Minnesota, Hill District in Pittsburgh, Chicago, Birmingham, Alabama, anywhere you go. This has happened. And a lot of it happened during that concentrated period where so many of our highways and systems were built in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Yeah. And what tended to happen was you'd have a neighborhood, often a Black or Latino neighborhood, that did not have the political power to resist or change the plans. And so these roads went right through these neighborhoods and cut them in two or just took them out completely.
Yeah.
Part of what we're trying to do is not just do better next time. Obviously, when we're building a road now, we make sure that everybody's voice is heard. And that's a big push on our side. We will even enforce when a state, for example, is proposing to do that. If they haven't listened to the community and considered all of that, we can intervene. We have a responsibility to intervene. But also, we're fixing some of the harms from the past. I'll give you an example. Up in Buffalo, the Kensington Expressway basically cuts off the mainly Black neighborhood from downtown where all the jobs are. Makes it really much harder to get from one part of town to the other. It's almost like a gash that goes through the city. So we're working with the state of New York and putting a lot of funding out of the infrastructure package to deck over the top of it, which means, first of all, you get something you almost never get, which is new land. And the cars can still go because they're going to be under this deck, and is going to reconnect where there had been that division. And when I got to go up there and announce it, we sat with the advocates and the neighborhood leaders and the community members who've been trying to do something about this since the 80s. And we're finally making it happen. It definitely takes money, but that money is an investment that I think makes everybody better off because the whole community will be stronger economically. And it's certainly the right thing to do if federal dollars are part of what went into doing some of that damage in the past in the first place.
But how do you balance that with gentrification at such a rapid pace? To Maul's example with the Cross Bronx, I see that they're taking much better care of that, but there's also high-rise luxury condos in the South Bronx where there wasn't before. And now it seems like, even the Deegan over there is being taken care of. How do you balance gentrification coming into these neighborhoods with the attention to people being pushed out with transportation? Because it seems like things are being taken care of now in lower income neighborhoods because they're valuable with rebuilding luxury apartments. Right.
Or you make the improvement to that neighborhood that got neglected year after year after year. And then because you made the improvement, the land values go up, and then there's gentrification. So we're very conscious of that. Part of what we can do is when there's a highway project that involves displacement, we can make sure that there are mitigations that help keep housing affordable or help make sure that people are taken care of in terms of their housing. Because housing and transportation go together.
Exactly.
Right. And we have so many places, and the New York region is a good example, where people either live kind of ridiculously far away from work so they can be somewhere they can afford, or they live somewhere they can't afford in order to be able to be close to work. But part of that is just having better options, right? If we have better transit, if we have better systems, then people can get to where they need to be, whether it's half a mile away or 10 miles away. And that's part of what we're working on too.
Yeah.
I understand you're training for the, you train a lot, Ironman, triathlon. What's your playlist? What's some of the artists that you listen to while you're training?
Oh, a lot of time it's whatever is on the Apple workout music, whatever that playlist is. Anything with a good beat.
Something to keep you going.
Yeah, something motivating.
So me and Rory, we want to create a playlist for you.
Oh, okay.
We got to get you a playlist so we can help you like get through your workouts.
All right.
First of all, the fact that you train for Ironman is insane. Swimming, running, cycling.
Yeah, it was hard. It was fun though. Half Ironman, just to be
half
honest.
Ironman. Okay, I respect it. It's still it's
more than any Ironman that I would do.
That's a lot of hours.
But yeah, we'll get in a group chat and we'll send you some songs. We can start the new Rory Maul Pete group chat.
Yeah,
sounds good. All I need is a good beat.
That's it.
You could check out this album. I thought it'd be different. Maybe you should plug that. Tell the White House about it. Maybe Biden.
That's his album.
Okay.
Yeah, he put out an album a few months ago.
You'll get right. You'll do the full Ironman after you listen to that.
There we go.
Have you not stop at
So
the
just how motivating it is.
I want to put you to sleep. Secretary of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg, we thank you for coming and joining us.
Thanks,
Hopefully we'll see you sometime down the road.
I'd love it.
No, Rory and